Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. We're here in this very festive looking attire, preparing for Christmas here in a few weeks. One of the things I got thinking I really wanted to do this year was I've always wanted to have a Christmas train running around my tree. And I did that probably 25 years ago when my oldest kids were little. It didn't work out so good. And I'm at a point in life now where I thought, wow, this would be kind of fun. So stick with us and take a look at this year's Christmas train. And going to apply some of my modeling techniques that I've learned over the years to doing a Christmas train. See how
This year, the day after Thanksgiving, we set up our Christmas tree. And I really wanted to have a train around it this year, so I started with this little circle of track and an engine, and thought, oh no, this isn't going to cut it. I've got to do something a little bit more than this. I really wanted something more of a train board type thing. First, I needed a good train, so I have this Prairie engine from Bachmann that had been gifted to me. It needed some work. So I did the work on cleaning things up and getting it ready to run, and decided I wanted to accuratize it just a little bit. So did a little bit of painting on it, and I went to the tender and I used some white glue, and I got some chunk coal from Woodland Scenics, and I put that into the tender to try and make it look a little bit more realistic. And I'll tell you what, I think it turned out pretty darn good. I certainly like how realistic that coal looks. So anyway, we got this together, got it running good, and then I needed some cars. I thought, oh, for Christmas, what would be best? Well, red and green, of course. So I had a green boxcar, refrigerated boxcar, that I thought that'll be very appropriate. And then I need something red. Oh, I had a gondola car. And I took this gondola car, put a little ornament in it, and put a little snowman in it. And since then, I've taken those out and put some little tiny Christmas presents in it. I thought that would be kind of fun looking. And I had just a cheap little Bachmann red Santa Fe caboose, but I've dressed that up just a little bit. I put Santa's little naughty helper here on the front of the caboose, and then kind of painted with some red, green, and just added a little bit of yellow and painted some things out so it just says Santa on the side. I thought that was kind of fun. And used this caboose for the end of the train. And at the very end of the train, of course, there's Santa in his underwear, putting on his boots and his coat, standing at the very tail of the train. So I took some foam core board and I nailed the track down to the foam core board. I took a skirt and put it around the bottom of the tree. But the problem was the grandkids started to play with the train and pick it up and whatnot, and also the dogs were peeing on the skirt. What I really wanted was something that sat up a little bit higher so I could put the presents underneath. I wanted something with a tunnel and a mountain. I thought that'd be kind of fun, and some trees. And so I set about to try and build something like that. Well, lo and behold, I found a fellow online who was actually selling exactly what I was looking for. And so I acquired this board. It sits up about 29 inches high, and I put the tree on top of it, so now the gifts can go underneath. And it had some trees, and it had the tunnel and the mountain, and man, I was so happy to get this. It was a good basic layout, and I wanted to add a few things to it. It had a secondary track that would run another train on it. And so I used my foam technique, my spray foam technique, to make a couple of hills. And you can see here they are decorated up. This one, I've done the snow technique on it. If you want to see more about these techniques and how to do it with the foam, on my YouTube page there is a link to MRS's Facebook page, and on there I've got some tutorials on the MRS page on how to do this foam technique in making hills and mountains. And here's the finished piece on one corner of the layout. Kind of left it in more of a fall look. All I need to do now is stick some trees in that, some pine trees, and I think that's going to look pretty darn good. On the other side, I went ahead and kept with the winter theme, and I took that hill that I had made, put it on the other side of the train layout. I've stuck a couple of trees in it, and right now I think it looks absolutely fabulous on that end. So I decided to add a water tower as well to it. I also have a freight depot now that's sitting on it. But here it is. I've put a skirt around the table so that you kind of can't see all the wires out underneath, and you just put the presents under there. And I think it makes a kind of a neat looking Christmas display, and the grandkids sure love it. I wanted to do something really fun, though, besides just this. And I decided that what I was going to do was have a little game of find the whatever. Whether it was elves but I thought dogs. We are going to model each one of the dogs that we have in the house. And so in this little HO scale, here is Isabel. I've got her modeled, and I decided to put her somewhere on the layout. And the trick is for the grandkids and the kids to try and find where the dog is on the layout. Well, here is Isabel, and you can barely see her because she's brown and she's there on the sidewalk right by the lamp, walking down the street with her tail in the air, strutting as she always does, which fit pretty well. Now there's Grizzly. I took my big buddy Grizzly and I painted up a dog that looked kind of like a German Shepherd, and I put him on the layout as well, doing what Grizzly normally does, which is follow people around, the big oaf that he is, just wanting some love and attention. So here he is behind one of the figures that's walking along the street on the layout. Then there's Rocket. Anastasia's dog Rocket is a Plott hound, and she was very challenging to try and paint her colors. But she's well known for, she pees a lot. So I thought it was appropriate to put her up here in the hills, peeing on a tree. You can barely see her white nose peeing on the tree here in one of the hills that I built. Well, then there's Harold, the weenie. And this is him. He just sits there and barks at people. So I thought, I have the perfect little HO scale dog to represent Harold. So I painted this one black with a white nose, just like Harold, and found a place to put him on the layout. And here he is, kind of in the middle there. He's barking at a fellow who's all dressed in black, seated at one of the benches. Again, very difficult to find, but the kids actually found him pretty quick. And finally, here's Bandit, Isaac's dog Bandit. And Bandity Boy, he likes to sit a lot, lay down a lot, I should say. And I thought it would be appropriate to put him in that kind of a pose. And here he is, right next to one of the benches, just sitting down, waiting for people to come by. So the kids actually found him pretty quick this year. I'll have to do something a little bit more creative next year. Now for the train, for the engines that I wanted to run on the train, I took my Jupiter and my 119 that I had got from, they're Bachmann engines. I had got these after we went to the Golden Spike Historic Site. They were kind of my birthday present to myself back in April. I picked them up, I think it was for $40 a piece, so it was really a good deal. They are a bit inaccurate though, so I took some time and I did some painting. I don't have what I did with the Jupiter, but here's the 119, and I hated the fact that it had this terrible looking wood on the back of the tender. Well, the 119 was not a wood burner, it was a coal burner. So I took that out. That was the weight that holds the whole thing down that helps it run. Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to work. And I did some repainting on the locomotive because it wasn't quite accurate. So I wanted to try and get the Russia iron to look proper, and I wanted to make sure I got the right color red. Just make it look more like the real locomotive. Anyway, so I took the load out. I built a new part in the tender here, and went ahead and put some of the chunk coal that comes from Woodland Scenics in there. Filled it up pretty nicely, and I think the results were pretty good. You'd have to judge for yourself. And here's my version of Russia iron on this particular locomotive. So, here's the Jupiter, the wood burner, coming through with a couple of custom-built cars. And here is 119 coming through the other way, through the other tunnel, with the Christmas train. So I've got those two on the layout currently, and you can see here there's the Jupiter running with a couple of old-time cars and the load of wood in the tender, and the little, it's a Central Pacific caboose, but oh well. During the day it looks pretty neat, but I'll tell you what, at night, that's when it really comes alive, because I have these lights all the way around the walkway. And here's a picture taken from the top of the mountain above the tunnel, and you can see the lights down along the walkway that really make this thing pop at night. And here's the tunnel, and you can see the lights along the walkway. Really like this. Here it is running at night. You can see just a lone locomotive going around. But I got to tell you, William, as soon as he saw this, well, yeah, you see it.
Have a fun little piece, and I'm going to keep adding on to it as we get closer to Christmas. And my plan is something that I've wanted to do for years and years and years, and that is have a little village that could be up when the grandkids come over. That is designed to be festive for every holiday. So maybe for Easter we'd have some Easter eggs and baskets and an Easter bunny on there, and the challenge would be to find that. Maybe for the 4th of July we'll have some firecrackers. Maybe we'll figure out a way to do sparklers. I don't know, just kind of a festive, fun little board. Obviously I'm going to be doing some other model railroading things, something a little more serious, but I thought this would be just kind of a fun thing. So thanks for sticking with us, and check out what we got going next week. Thanks for watching.